Welcome to my history map. Thanks for being here with us today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit like and turn on the bell so you never miss what's next, and share it with your friends, because history becomes better when we discover it together. Let's start the journey. He was not born into greatness. He was not destined for a throne. In fact, nothing about his early life suggested that he would one day rule over much of Europe. Napoleon Bonaparte was born on the island of Corsica, a rugged and windswept land in the Mediterranean Sea. At the time, Corsica had only recently become part of France, and many people there still saw themselves as outsiders. Napoleon grew up feeling like he didn't fully belong, not truly Corsican, and not fully French either. As a child, he was quiet, serious, and often alone. He didn't come from wealth, and when he was sent to military school in mainland France, things didn't get easier. His accent was mocked, his background was questioned. Other students saw him as strange, different, and weak. But they were wrong, because while others laughed, Napoleon observed. While others played, he studied. And deep inside him, something was growing, a burning desire to prove himself to the world. He found his path in the military. Artillery became his specialty, and unlike many soldiers of his time, he relied not just on bravery, but on intelligence. He studied battlefields like puzzles, analyzing movement, timing, and positioning with incredible precision. Opportunity came during the chaos of the French Revolution, a time when kings fell, governments collapsed, and the old world was breaking apart. For many, it was a time of fear. For Napoleon, it was a chance. At a young age, he rose quickly through the ranks. His strategies were bold, sometimes risky, but they worked. Again and again, he led his troops to victory, surprising enemies who underestimated him. By the age of just 24, he had become a general. But Napoleon didn't just want to win battles. He wanted to change history. His campaigns across Europe were fast, aggressive, and brilliant. Armies that were larger and more experienced found themselves defeated by his speed and precision. He inspired loyalty in his soldiers, often standing among them, sharing their hardships, earning their trust. To them, he wasn't just a commander, he was a leader. Victory after victory made his name known across the continent. Kings feared him, nations watched him, and the people of France admired him. But power changes people. In 1804, Napoleon made a decision that shocked the world. Instead of allowing someone else to crown him, he took the crown in his own hands and placed it upon his own head. He became Emperor of France. It was a moment filled with symbolism, a message to the world that he answered to no one. Not to kings, not to tradition, not even to the church. Now he controlled not just an army, but an empire. And yet, for Napoleon, it was not enough. He expanded his influence across Europe, defeating coalitions of powerful nations. His empire grew larger and stronger, stretching across vast lands. For a time, it seemed unstoppable, as if nothing could stand in his way. But ambition has limits. In 1812, Napoleon made one of the most fateful decisions of his life. He launched an invasion of Russia, a massive campaign involving hundreds of thousands of soldiers. At first, it seemed like just another conquest, but Russia was different. The land was vast, the distances were endless, and the Russian army avoided direct confrontation, retreating deeper into their territory, drawing Napoleon further in. Then came the winter. The cold was unlike anything his army had ever faced. Temperatures dropped to unimaginable levels. Food became scarce. Horses died. Supplies vanished. And one by one, soldiers began to fall, not in battle, but to the cold. The once powerful Grand Army began to collapse. What started as a force of hundreds of thousands was reduced to a fraction of its size. Napoleon had been defeated, not by an enemy, but by nature itself. From that moment on, everything began to change. Nations that once feared him now saw weakness. Coalitions formed against him. Battles were lost. Territory was taken back. Eventually, Napoleon was forced to abdicate. He was exiled to the small island of Elba, far from the empire he once ruled. For most men, that would have been the end. But not for Napoleon. In an astonishing turn of events, he escaped from exile and returned to France. As he marched toward Paris, soldiers sent to stop him instead joined him. His legend, it seemed, was not yet finished. For a brief moment he regained power. This period became known as the 100 Days. But Europe was ready. A final coalition of nations gathered to stop him once and for all. The stage was set for one last battle, a battle that would decide everything. At the Battle of Waterloo, Napoleon faced defeat. It was not just the loss of a battle. It was the end of an era. This time, there would be no return. He was exiled again, this time to the remote island of St. Helena, far in the Atlantic Ocean. Isolated, far from power, far from war. He spent the final years of his life free. And so, the story of Emperor Napoleon ends, from a small island to the throne of Europe, then to exile in the heart of the ocean. What do you think? Was he a hero who forged his glory with brilliance, or a tyrant blinded by ambition? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you lived this journey with us, hit like and subscribe to My History Map, and share the video with a friend who loves history, because history doesn't end when we tell it. It begins when we remember it together. See you in the next story.